Hi guys and welcome to the Gin and Tonic Show. We help Muslims and non-Muslims to handle Islam in the 21st century. My name is Mustafa and this is my co-host in the nick of time. If you wish to talk about Islam, the ideology, you have come to the right place. We cover current Islamic news, Islamic scripture, some crazy comments, and a weekly topic about Islam to examine, critique, and analyze. If this is not enough Islam for you, please drop by our Discord to discuss any further questions about Islam. We condemn any form of discrimination, violence, misogyny, slavery. However, we do embrace free speech and criticism if it's factual and correct. Thank you for stopping by and enjoy the Gin and Tonic Show.
Hello. Welcome, everyone. Hey, guys, can you hear me? Or
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah.
We are live.
We are live.
And I'm the temporary co-host here with the usual suspects.
Yes. So Moose is actually on a work trip. He won't be with us for a few weeks. While he's gone, thinking clearly, or drastic measures, I should say. My bad, I still have it. And Culture Jenny will be helping out as a temporary co-host. Thank you so much, guys, for coming on and helping.
No problem.
Yeah, now that I'm a Muslim, I don't really know what the atheist position is, so it's great to have some atheists to come and destroy me in a sense.
Oh, we'll be happy to do that for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, just so you know, this is all a facade. I had a run-in with our favorite Redbeard yesterday, and he thinks that he converted me by saying the Shahada, and then I just spent like 5 minutes saying the Shahada with the most horrible English accent possible, to a point where they couldn't understand what the hell I was saying. But yeah. So today Stops is here. Hey, Stops.
Hey, stop spamming.
Guys, good evening.
Hello, Stops.
Here's a pleasant surprise.
How are you?
The old guard is here.
The granddaddy.
Yes.
I've had a terrible Saturday. I'm dead beat. I'm tired. I'm exhausted. I'm everything. But I still thought, because I spoke to Drastic now this week, and I thought, no, I must pop in and just say hi.
Oh yeah, you're going to be in for a ride.
This is going to be a rough ride from what I've heard.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
we'll be dealing with one of our favourite clowns in the Dawah scene today. So, yeah, looking forward to it.
How many are there? There's like 15 or something. Favorite
Well,
ones,
I did say my favourite, and do you want me to reveal it? It's Mohammed Hijab, which is he's definitely top tier idiot when it comes to Dawah. So,
well, I don't take him that seriously.
Oh, hi, Jen.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Do I sound okay?
You sound okay. Yes.
All right.
Alhamdulillah, God willing, we will continue to hear you throughout the video. Stops, just to catch you up, yesterday I officially became a Muslim.
Oh, congratulations. Mashallah.
Yeah, I ran out to Hamza's den and I converted after trolling him for 10 minutes.
That's a good. Actually, do you know that Ike? Do you remember who Ike is?
I remember Ike. Yeah.
I can't remember his other name that he sometimes uses online. Anyway, he actually went to a mosque in Switzerland. He said to them, "Can you inform me about Islam?" And then they actually, after 1 hour, said, "Well, you are now ready to take the Shahada." And he put the camera down, and he did. Now, he says, at that moment, I don't know if I was sincere or not, but officially now, I'm a Muslim and I've never left, so I'm not an apostate or something. So you can still count me in. So I am now an insider critiquing Islam from the inside.
Yeah, that was my viewpoint as well, and I have to apologize to you for turning your beloved show into a Muslim channel.
Right. There's enough non-Muslims here to counterbalance you, Nick. So we'll do a hostile takeover if we have to.
Yeah, I'm now part of an atheism group on my German side. Okay, on that one, we've actually got a guy. He is a Quranist from Turkey, and he pops in like every second show or something, and he always maintains that he's the one who understands Islam better than anybody else because he's got all the right texts. He's got the right original. I mean, he's reading a Turkish translation, and he doesn't understand that when he says if it says you're supposed to do something twice or something, and I show him in the Quran, I say no, that's not what it says. It says there is no number specified. It's up to you, whatever is convenient. Then he says, well, I don't know what I'm talking about because his Quran says something else. So he's convinced that his Turkish translation or interprets, actually it's more of like an interpretation, that it's the correct one. So there you go. So he's the authority now on Islam.
Actually, stops. I was curious to ask you about this. Does the Quran translate any better into German than it does to English, or is it all the same translation problems?
Well, the thing is that it's very rarely a translation. Most of the time, it is an interpretation, and you need to be very careful because we had a guy come in and he said, "Well, in the Quran it says
all translation is all." Sorry, this is kind of a pet peeve as a language, but almost all translations are interpretations to some degree.
Correct. But what they are doing is they're saying, this is what it says in the Quran. And it says, well, he has given you eyes, ears, and a common sense or an understanding. And this is what they maintain. And therefore they say, well, it must be scientifically accurate because this is how we are evaluating scientifically every normal or natural phenomenon. So that means the Quran is right. But now I went and looked what it says in the original, and there it says, no, he's given you eyes, ears, and a heart. And they've gone and translated heart into common sense or the mind or something. And this is what happens. And then, Ginny, you're right. I mean, it is an interpretation to a certain degree, certain extent. But the thing is, if somebody says heart, I mean, you can't translate that as common sense. You need to translate it as heart. And this is the point. So there are, some words which are translatable and which can be translated, which have an exact, precise equivalent in the other language. A lot of times they don't, correct. But in this case, it's quite obvious. So it's quite weird how they think that, they're going to get away with it.
Yeah. And in that point as well, like the video we're going to do, it's full of interpretations as well, and it varies per person to person on this specific topic that the video's on as well. And like I want to because we got like a hefty video, I just want to divert the topic to that video itself. But essentially we're talking about polygamy today.
Fun.
Yeah, basically, to give context, there's this channel called Tea Talks. A bunch of women get together and talk about their views on various Islamic things like divorce, marriage, polygamy, and all that. Our favorite clown, Mohammed Hijab, and his little pet baboon, Ali Dawah, get together to critique one of these videos. We're watching the critique of the original video.
Oh, Ali Dawah was on this as well. It's both of them.
Yeah.
Oh wow, 2 for 1. This will be good.
Oh yeah, and just a heads up, I did invite Tea Talks podcast onto Gin and Tonic. My interactions with them, they've been nothing but cordial, so I got nothing against them voicing their opinion. Obviously, any ideology, any idea that you put out on the internet can be critiqued, so we will critique it, but to the ladies that put out their view first, nothing against them personally. We're more so critiquing Ali Dawah and Mohammed Hijab's view first, then theirs, but nothing meant to be an insult towards them, as these two clowns are obviously doing.
I've got plenty of insults to go around for all of them, so...
Yeah.
And I would probably be very cordial, like always.
That's a nice balance then, okay.
Yeah. Alright, let's get it.
Sisters in Islam Net from Norway are.
Oh, Jen is back, and it's great to have like a female perspective. Hence, Jen also being here as well. Jen, you're.
I wasn't sincere in the inshallah, so you struck me.
All right, so I'm gonna play this video here. Just because I was originally gonna donate to this masjid, but because Mohammed Hijab asked me to, now I'm not gonna donate a single penny.
Establishing a masjid, a Dawah center. This center, this masjid, this educational institution will act like a beacon of light, calling the Muslims in Norway back to the essence of Islam. So give generously and Allah Azza wa Jal will give you even more.
I got a question. How many Muslims are in Norway?
Not many, I would say, but I have seen all the major Dawah channels have been grifting on this Norway thing for about a year at least. So when is this thing going to be built? Before the end of time? I mean, they must have raised millions by now. But yeah, I see it on all channels.
Where's
I see it on all their channels. Ali Dawah, Mohammed Hijab, Smile to Jana, they're all at it. They're all promoting this mosque in Norway. And there's probably like 12 Muslims are going to use it.
Where do you know that guy, that politician guy? Is it Geert Wilder or Geert Wilder? Is he
Geert
from Norway?
Wilders. No, he's from the Netherlands.
Oh, okay, all right.
Yeah, Wilders, yeah.
He's based.
All right, let's play this. They just got to replace this background image with a chimpanzee, and we're all good.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, brothers and sisters and dear friends. You are on the right channel, it's Hijab channel, not my channel. But we've got a very, very interesting.
I thought, what the hell was this?
What?
I mean, this is my channel. You
Jen, Culture Jenny, you were saying something?
No, do you notice their eyes when they speak? That they don't look directly up at you. They try to look at the side or, look up or something.
Yeah, right now Ali Dawah's line of vision is quite, I'd say, special. I wonder what he's looking at right now with such concentration.
you hijack the introduction. How dare you?
When I'm talking, don't raise your hand below this level, yeah? try again.
I wouldn't want to raise my hand.
Don't raise your hand, because when I raise my hand, it will land somewhere, Okay, guys. So basically, we've got a very interesting video. This is a video that we're going to react to, inshallah. I think it's very, very beneficial. It pertains to the family unit. It pertains to divorces. It pertains to a lot of stuff that the Ummah is already going through, of the breakdown of the family unit due to feminism and God knows what else. So before we start, I want to make some disclaimers. Our intentions, me and Hijab's intentions, is not ill. We do not mean to come here or put...
By the way, before we continue, what's your guys' opinion on something like polygamy?
Well,
I see it as actually pretty, bad for social cohesion, as it strengthens clan society. But that's my opinion, and it's very complicated, and I can give many examples, but that would take this entire show.
I'm kind of open-minded as long as it's consensual and you can kind of go the other way. But I think one of the problems I've got within Islam, and obviously we can get into this when we watch the video, is that it's all for the benefit of the men, isn't it? It's men with multiple wives. It's never women have the same options. So it seems rather one-sided to me.
Yeah. What about you, Stotts?
Same thing. I don't have anything to add here. For me, it's very weird what they're doing, and I like this body language pickup that they're never actually addressing you personally. They're always sort of shying away from direct contact, it seems, anyway.
Yeah. For me, I think it's just me being raised in Toronto, and especially college campuses here. I know polyamorous relationships do exist quite a bit in major cities and liberal countries, and obviously whether people agree with them or not, they do work they still go on and such. So if it is something that's consensual and talked about with open communication, and it's working for the couple, or the people involved and such, it's not really my place to be saying anything, or anyone's place for that matter. But like I mentioned, it is something that has to be done with the communication that's required to pursue a relationship of such manner.
Oh, you was asking me specifically about polygyny.
Yeah.
I don't have an opinion on that either. I think it's up to individuals. If a man has a desire to be with two women and both women, agree to that, well, then why not? I don't see any problem with that. Yes, but then it should also be the other way around. Because I know, for example, the son of a friend of mine, he is in the opposite. In other words, he is sharing one girl with another guy, and they're all okay with that. So, as long as everybody has the right to do as they please, and this doesn't hurt or infringe on anybody else's rights, I'm cool with that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just one of those things where you got to communicate doing it properly before, right? I assume you'd think that too.
Should we crack on?
Yep.
The sisters down, there are sisters. Like they say, water is thicker than blood, and iman is thicker than
water's thicker than blood. Fuck.
Yeah, he messed that one all up.
Oh, and Jen, we forgot about you. What do you think?
No, that's I really don't. It doesn't bother me at all, as long as everybody's okay with it, and it's not oppressive at all. I really could care less. Like, if chicks want to share a dude, then that's go for it. But like, both the chicks should be really like
wow,
okay
I'm the one that
and aware of it.
Yeah.
More.
What was that? I missed that.
Jenny, you cut out a bit.
Oh, wow, this is the first time I have the hardest stance here.
Yeah. But yeah, let's crack on with Ali Dawah explain to us how water is thicker than blood.
Blood is thicker than water, and iman is thicker than blood. So they're our sisters in Islam, and we want the best for them.
If that's the logic, then I'm his brother.
However, there are things that are said, whoever it's from, our sister or brother, that needs correcting, we have to correct. So we want to do that in a nice manner, inshallah. We want to start off by reacting. It's a 34-minute episode.
But one thing is, about the correcting of what's wrong, if you get 5 Muslims together, you're going to get 6 views. I think Stops, you're the one that told me that. So, like, obviously, depending on where you learn, what scholar you learn from, you're going to get different answers or interpretations to a literary text. So, like, there's no... when it comes to philosophy and religion, I wouldn't say that there's one right interpretation of the text. You're going to get different interpretations of it. So, how can these guys be correcting another person's interpretation of that text?
At the end of this, I just want to see if you guys still think that he's correcting her nicely or not.
Yep. Should we go forward with video?
Yep.
There's one quick comment, because in Islam, it's actually very strict. There's a rule, there's a strict hierarchy. Who is allowed to criticize whom? So that you need to be of a higher rank, that you must have demonstrated that you have studied Islam harder and more and longer before you can actually go and correct anybody else.
This is this is a very complex thing, but there exists ijma, which is consensus, but there does exist, also the reverse, that you should challenge hierarchy, and that hierarchy itself does not grant authority in Islam. It is kind of flatline like that. But let's go on.
Yeah, let's move on because we've done about 8 seconds and it's already 20
Do
minutes.
so, can I just add one more point?
Sure, please.
I think that, you know, like nowadays we're seeing more kind of like, I would call it the gender wars. We're kind of living in the age of the gender wars because the Red Pill movement is its effect on Muslim people, and obviously feminism is its effect on Muslim people as well. And what I think is very important that before starting, you know, these kinds of episodes, as coming from a Muslim paradigm, is that we are attempting to follow the paradigm of Islam.
Yeah, 100%.
The Quran, the Sunnah, the 1,400 years worth of tradition. If this is the aim, then we need to kind of like make sure that everything is filtered through that lens. If it's not, then clearly there must be refutation. And I do believe that this video, it definitely satisfies the threshold of refutation.
It does, and we will tell you why it does. And when we do say refutation, at the end of the day, refutation is part of our religion. I mean, we can be refuted, we have been refuted. And we have been refuted, and we will probably continue to be refuted.
Yes.
We have not, as long as it comes from a sincere place, not from opportunistic people. That's a different story. So let's get into it, inshallah, and you can see for yourself, guys, what we have that concerns not us, but the ummah at large.
The environment around polygamy and what happens and the aftermath of it is really toxic and judgy and negative. There's a lot of pressure to react in a certain way. There's a lot of pressure to accept, and that being like that's the automatic position. If you're a Muslim, you accept what God allows, so why are you struggling? Like, what's wrong with you? And it's bringing your faith into question, and I hear it over and over. I love Allah. I love this faith. This is something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allowed. Why is it breaking me?
Because it was, to answer that question, I think it was because it was originally designed to benefit the male and not the woman. If it was more of an equal position to benefit both sides, then it probably wouldn't help make you question it as much as you're doing. But like, because it's only male driven, you're probably bringing it up for question there. Would you say that's a fair analysis?
I think the biggest thing here is that the way that it's set up, right? So like the rule is that the husband does not have to tell the wife until he pleases to, right? Yeah. And that, I think, is the biggest, like, it's the worst thing about the system, because this is what these ladies are talking about, which these two monkeys are neglecting throughout the whole video.
Yeah.
And I think people are forgetting the history, because, I mean, the Quran is a recruitment manual to get people to fight. Now, who's going to fight? The men. So who's going to die? Well, the men. So the women are left without a male companion, provider, and head of family. And this is why they had to introduce something like this, so that they get compensated, so that there's a man in the house, even if your husband died in some stupid battle, because it was very violent in those times. And that is why then the men had to have some sort of a means to supply or provide for the women who were left without a husband.
Yeah, that's a fair point, Stops. But what they're saying in terms of like communicating that before, or like bring it up to question as well, in the modern day, it definitely, we don't have the concerns that we would have, like Mohammed Hijab said 1,400 years ago. We wouldn't have those concerns now, right? So shouldn't it be modified if you still want to do it to the modern times?
Exactly. I mean, it's a backwards. It's a broken ideology. It's somehow not applicable today. And exactly what Smile is just saying. Ahmadiyya used to say, well, we have this paternal sort of superiority, where the man decides who is taking what religion, who does what, where, and how. And it's more important that the man is the one who decides if the son or the girl or whatever, how they grow up. So you need to know who the father was in those days. Today, I mean, I couldn't care less whether we know who the father is and who the mother is if we are not in a monogamous relationship. So it's quite weird how the people are so focused on this male superiority that you have all these rules and regulations and laws all centered around the male. Everything's there. The man is allowed to marry a non-Muslim woman, but the Muslim woman is not allowed to marry a non-Muslim man because the man decides on the religion of the kids. So it's so, I don't know, everything is so focused on this. It's quite amazing, actually. And then the thing is, in the Quran, for example, it doesn't say you are allowed to have 2 or 3 or 4 wives. You're allowed 2 and 3 and 4 wives, which is why some clerics in Saudi Arabia are claiming, well, we need to extend this so that we can have 9 wives, the way that it says in the Quran. So even the Quran is ambiguous in how many wives you're allowed to have, and it's again, it's just an interpretation. So there's a lot of factors here.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see if these two talk about those factors from what we brought up.
And I think that's what I want to talk about today.
So women are questioning themselves, questioning their level of faith because it is something that is breaking them. Is that been the experience that you've had with people that you've spoken to and worked with?
I think that it's an opportunity to put a wedge between a woman and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if she thinks that it's being positioned that Allah Azza wa Jal allowed me to do this to you.
Right.
So it's like the spiritual abuse. When something's going to happen and then I say I have this God card that says that I can do it to you. So if you have a problem with it, you have a problem with God.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, no, I'd say from the woman's perspective, the girl's perspective that she said, it's a very fair point. Like, because like obviously if you're gonna have in the modern day, if you're gonna have like a second or third wife or fourth wife, it's not because like, oh, you're doing some divine duty or something. It's because you're horny, you saw some porn, and you want to reenact it. I quite don't see any other use for polygamy in the modern day. And you not expressing that to your better half or your significant other really does. It is really scummy. You're just being an abusive partner at the end of the day, in my personal opinion.
But I had to laugh because she's complaining that in Islam, women don't have the same sort of standing as a man, where there's very clear hadiths which say women are deficient in their thinking and they are not as pious. So if it says that, woman, how can you complain? You are the one who chose Islam. You know what it's about.
Yeah. And even if she does come from that point, like just be even saying to her, like, just as a partner, no matter what your religion says, you should still think of your partner as an equal, no matter who says it, because at the end of the day, that's why you're together. But
also, I think. Oh, sorry, I was just going to say. I also think that there's a difference between seeing it in the text and then having something that impacts on your practical life, and so you can kind of pretend that the Quran and Hadith doesn't say all these horrible things about women, but then once you're actually confronted with the practical reality of, yes, your husband now may take a second or a third or a fourth wife, then you just can't avoid it. You can't pretend that it doesn't exist because it's happening to you.
For sure. So would you guys like to continue going, or does anyone have a point they would like to add here?
Yeah, you could run it. Go ahead.
All right.
To be just, before the video starts, because we don't want this to be like you didn't put our beginning bit. In the beginning bit, they make it very categorically clear. They do not have an issue with polygamy itself. It is from Allah. But when we watch the video, we yet to see. They said they wanted to touch upon the way the polygamy is done the wrong way. So we're gonna.
All right. So for what Ali Dawah just said, I really hate commending him, but I gotta commend him for being transparent about what they said before on what they didn't play. But it would have been nice if the video's already an hour long, so it would have been nice if they played the video from the start, like we're doing right now. But like, good on him for bringing that up.
I want to see if they even touch up on that. Just to give that disclaimer, they said that.
No
now
problem.
going straight to this.
Yeah, I think what she said is highly problematic because she is not giving an example of where there is a miscarriage of justice from the Islamic paradigm. She's just talking plainly about polygamy.
Well, fuck. Why don't you watch the rest of the video, man? It's a 30-minute video.
Exactly, and just to throughout this entire video, these two guys just completely neglect everything these girls are saying to like uphold some kind of image of how this is such a good thing, right? And like, you know, I swore that I heard the girls say that, you know, when it's done the wrong way, these are what happened, but maybe I missed that, or maybe they said it in the part before. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's spiritual abuse, you know, and it reminds me of another thing, like when in decades, you know, before, when Catholics would actually kind of do this because they weren't allowed to get divorced except for or annulled. They'd have to go to the church and get their marriage annulled. And, you know, there were women in the position, you know, of saying, oh, well, you can't divorce me anyway. So, you know, I'm just going to, you know, keep on treating you like this or things like this. So it is spiritual abuse, 100%.
All right, I'm going to continue playing.
As an institution or as something, a form of marriage that Islam allows. And then she says that she uses key words which I think are quite disturbing, and ones which we've seen being used in feministic circles. And I do believe this is a kind of microfeminism, where she starts by talking about spiritual abuse. Okay.
What the hell is a microfeminism? Is this like microaggression or something?
It's a nice way of calling them feminists.
Yeah, just a touch, a little pinch of feminism.
Yeah, half a teaspoon.
Spiritual abuse. Why is God doing this? We've got the God card. Well, the truth of the matter is,
didn't Ali Dawah just say that they said there's nothing wrong with polygamy the way Allah put it? Why are you suddenly twisting it around, Mohammed Hijab?
First and foremost, there are many things in the religion of Islam, in a relationship context, whether symmetrical or asymmetrical, which can cause pain to people, okay, whether it's psychological pain or otherwise, and which are allowed, and which, quite frankly, we're not seeing any noise from individuals that will make videos like this. And I'll give you just one example to kind of make it clearer.
Okay.
Take an example of a woman, and I'm not saying, caveat this, it's asymmetrical, that in other words, it can't be done to the other way around, and I'm not saying also that it's like for like. So put these two caveats to the side. If you take a woman, for example, that wants to get married to a man, okay, if she wants to get married to a man, and let's say, for example, the man is from a particular tribe or particular ethnicity or particular race, and her mother is totally against such marriage.
Yeah.
Her mother.
I know where he's going with this.
Maybe she doesn't like.
This is not like, he's not giving an example that's like equivalent to what she's saying. It's just so stupid.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure, like, again, I invited T Talks podcast on here. They can clarify this if they choose to come on. But from what I'm thinking, what the girls are saying is that they have no problem with polygamy if the guy actually communicates it before he does it.
Exactly. That's the whole issue.
And then Mohammed Hijab saying, what if you're Pakistani and you're trying to marry a Somali Muslim and your mom doesn't agree with it, but you have the right to still marry him? at the end of the day, the Somali guy is still a Muslim. He's still going to do the same practices. He's going to give his zakat. He's going to pray 5 times a day, the whole shebang. So at the end of the day, his culture is going to be nearly identical to you when you're a Muslim. So that shouldn't. It's not the same problem as you going around and sleeping around with as many women as you want.
Exactly. And why would it be?
Sorry for this. I understand that this. I'm sorry.
I was just going to ask. Can we just let Mohammed finish his sentence though? Just to let him
For sure,
finish
yeah.
what he was making, and then sort of talk about it.
Yeah.
The man. Maybe she has even justification from her perspective not to like the man. She feels like this man is no good for her daughter. Yet the daughter decides to proceed with the marriage at the expense of her mother's well-being, let's say, even for the sake of argument, or let's just say at the expense of her mother's happiness, contentment, approval, whatever word you want to use. This actually does happen in society. I think it's more sociologically, potentially more sociologically widespread than polygyny itself. But despite the fact that this is the case, in this scenario, we don't find any of these sisters or anybody in general considering this to be morally aberrational from within Islam or outside of Islam. In other words, if a woman makes a decision which has the net effect of causing some or a severe level of discomfort, anxiety, depression, or any other word that you would like to use, it's not seen as spiritual abuse. It's not seen as spiritual abuse because Islam allows it, despite the mother's wish. I'll give you another example, which is less sociologically prevalent, but still something which the Sharia allows. If a man sees his wife in bed with another man, the Quran clearly talks about a process of li'an.
Which actually happened with the Sahaba.
It happens, it's been recorded in history, which basically allows the woman to have the last say and therefore no action to be taken against the woman at all. In other words, there's no retributive justice. He has just seen his wife, let's say, having sex with another man, but there is no retributive justice. Islam allows this.
That's adultery, and the punishment is being stoned.
There's no retributive justice on a material level, and Islam allows that, despite the fact that it causes pain to men. This is still within the relationship structure, and in this case, there is asymmetry.
So let me just get this right, because we really need to drill the...
All right, so he finished the statement. So what do you guys say to that? I know Jen and Culture Ginny were going to say something. Hello?
No, it was more or less that I interrupted and wanted to say that culture is still a very large factor in interpretation of Islam, and that Muslims aren't alike just because they share the same religion, quote unquote.
Yeah, it's a good point, but we're talking about Sunnis specifically.
Yeah, and Jen, you were also going to say something.
I just think it's a dumb equation. This isn't. Why would he expect them to be outraged? Like, that's.
Hey, Jen, you're cutting out a bit.
Yeah, I mean, oh, sorry, Jen. Did you want to carry on? Oh, well, I'll just say, I'll sort of tack on to what Jen was saying. I think it's a ludicrous comparison. He's talking about for example, his first example was if the mother decides that they don't want the marriage to go ahead or the particular partner, etc., then that can take precedence. Well, how is that in any way equatable to polygamy itself? I mean, a man would be able to do the same thing, wouldn't he? He'd be able to say, oh, well, I don't particularly want to be married to this woman and my family are not supporting it, so therefore it's not going to go ahead, the marriage. So I don't see what he's getting at. It's got nothing to do with polygamy itself.
It just shows how backward they are. They automatically assume that the Quran, or Islam for that matter, has a say here. That if Islam says a woman that doesn't have, I mean, remember that you have the hadith which are saying if a woman does not say anything, this is the same as her consenting. So this is crazy, because what they're automatically assuming is Islam can take a decision and it's non-negotiable. Whereas, as you quite rightly point out, a man is allowed to go against these rules, and then it's okay, but a woman is not. And that's crazy. And it shows you how unrealistic, how backward Islam is. And this is why it doesn't fit into the 21st century.
Well, stops. That same excuse has been used to justify Aisha's marriage. They say, find me anywhere where she said she didn't want to get married. So it's a silent.
Yeah, but it was the father's consent. So it was the father who decided whether or not she was going to get married. This is what I hear a lot. If a girl gets raped, well, you know, because she's underage or something, and then people say, yeah, but the father gave his consent, so it's no longer rape. That's silly, but that's the way the argument goes. This is the way that people try and you know, sort of contravene the laws of the land by saying, well, in Islam, you're allowed to do that because the father gave his consent. There you go. Bob's your uncle.
Yeah. But this idea of silent consent is just ridiculous. I mean,
it is.
Could you imagine? I mean, what contract says that if the other party does not sign it to agree, then that's a sign that they agree to it?
Yeah, but that's what
There's
some sort of a contract where they say there's a covenant between God and us because there's a relationship between God and us. Everything is one-sided. We don't have a say in this.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, Jenny, you were going to say something?
Oh, yes. But this is such a fine example of why Islamic law or Islamic Sharia is an expression of a tribal and clan society. Because this is based upon the idea that it's not about the individual, but about the greater clan as a political unit.
Yeah, very good point. Yeah, thank you for raising that. Correct.
Yeah, and one more thing we gotta bring here is when it comes to something like marriage or like between two people here that Mohammed Hijab brings up, there's going to be two factors. One is going to be the physical side, and one is going to be the emotional side. For the physical, the emotional side, especially for girls in Islam, or girls in general, when they're going to get married, they're going to be emotionally attached and sharing with the person that they're going to be with. And secondly, it's going to be the physical side with, hopefully they're going to be, in Islam, they're encouraged to start a family and such. If they're in a polygamous relationship and this girl doesn't know that her husband's having like 2 or 3 other partners, it's going to hurt her emotionally. And then you also got the health effects of it as well with like the other things. So like she needs to know this stuff so she can prepare herself for those kind of things. It's not the same as a marriage just to one person who in Islam they're not allowed to sleep with other people, so you don't have that health issue and that emotional issue as strong as it would be in a polygamy based relationship that these girls are talking about. So it's like it's two different things in both factors that you would see. So like I really don't understand why he brought up that comparison. All right, I'm gonna play it here.
Let me give you one more example.
No, but on this one.
Okay, right.
A man sees his wife in bed with another man.
Yes.
Having sex.
Yes.
He goes to the Messenger of Allah, the Sahaba, and says he's said this. And he's expecting, I'm sure, the Prophet to understand.
I'm talking about the Quran itself.
No, I know, but
Yeah.
just
I got a question though. Isn't that considered adultery then? Or a form of adultery?
What, sleeping with someone else? Yeah, I would have thought so.
Yeah, so isn't that punishable? Why are they talking about like it's not punishable?
Well, I think he's talking about hadith where the man has gone to Muhammad to get his advice. I think that's what he was talking about, like how to deal with it.
All right.
I think that's where he was going anyway.
Yeah, just wanted to confirm that. Let's continue.
so they understand this.
Yeah.
Is that the Prophet, peace be upon him, says that I'm going to slash you for slander. Can you imagine? On top of that, adding salt to the wound. And then on top of that, what happens is the ayah comes down saying that they take 4 oaths each, and the last oath will be that Allah's curse be upon them. And this woman actually does that, and she totally...
The point being,
how painful would that be?
It will be very painful. But the point is, it's not spiritual abuse. The reason why it's not using the God card or spiritual abuse, despite the fact that it hurts the man, is simply because it's Islam allows it.
Exactly.
Now, I'll give you a third example, right?
Exactly. That's the point.
The third example, and this may be controversial, maybe many people didn't know this, but if, for example, a woman is married to a man,
Yeah.
and she divorces him, and then after her iddah is complete, she marries his brother, blood brother.
Oh.
Now, that's going to hurt the man. Now, obviously, the opposite can happen as well, yeah?
Yeah.
And once again, I'm not claiming it's asymmetrical.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, despite the fact that it will hurt the man, it doesn't mean it's morally illegitimate.
Or it's
Now,
spiritual abuse.
It's spiritual abuse.
Yes.
Now, it's clearly in the pretext, not even in the subtext of what these women are saying here, that just basically engaging in this act itself is a kind of spiritual abuse.
Exactly.
This is verging on kufr. I'm very sorry to say. To use that kind of language with an
Oh, brilliant!
Here comes the
He's ready
takfir.
to kick those women out of the religion for this. I mean,
It's the takfir.
also, have you noticed that it is the second time he's used the phrase "they're using the God card"? I mean, how can you not use the God card when you're talking about
Yeah.
this? I mean, it's such a weird.
I mean, this is a theological debate they are having, or discussion here. You need to use the God card.
Yeah, it's bizarre, but yeah, I thought it was worth pointing out because I don't know if this is a new thing that he's using now, like a new expression. You're using the God card, but I thought it was pretty funny.
Yeah, I know. One thing that he said before, it's like morally allowed, even though it'll hurt the person or something. Let's give another example. Let's say like an investment banker commits bank fraud or like tax fraud or something. He goes to court and he's proven that he didn't do it, even though he did, and he finds some like loophole and gets out. Legally, that tax fraud was allowed, but morally, it was wrong. Right? So just because legally something can happen doesn't mean it's morally right. Same thing for him. Like legally in Islam, book-wise, it might be able to happen, but does that mean it's morally right to hurt someone else? No, it is not. He needs to understand that. Would you guys agree with that statement? Or
Yep.
yeah,
absolutely.
Less moral and
Yeah, I
legal
agree.
law are not the same thing.
yeah. Just because the book itself says it doesn't make it 100% moral.
But then again, I'm not sure how much of a distinction there is in Islam with that kind of concept. I'm not sure whether, because I think in Islam it's either it's allowed or it's not allowed, and if it's allowed, it can't be immoral. So I'm really not sure they would understand that distinction.
Yeah, but he's the one that brought up the morality and legality or whatever, right?
No, I mean I agree with you. I agree with you, but I they may not even be able to grasp that as a concept in terms of their theology.
Yeah, let's continue with the video. This is
There does exist the idea about things that are immoral but not forbidden by the Sharia. They can still be tabia or, not liked.
Yeah, but not liked. I mean, can you give an example of that? Something that's immoral but not forbidden in Sharia?
It's, for example, backbiting and speaking ill about people when they are not there to defend themselves. Or bearing false witness about lesser crimes.
Now, I thought bearing false witness was forbidden.
Yes, but that's only if it is one of the larger hudud where you can be punished by, cutting off your hand or something like that.
Okay, fair enough.
all right. Let's continue here.
Institution that Islam has allowed, and she's not talking about the abuse of it, because I've heard this clip more than once.
Yes, they're not.
She's talking about the institution itself.
Yes.
This is verging on kufr. I'm sorry to say. I'm not saying she has fallen.
All right, so he said it himself. It's not me making this up. He said he's watched this video multiple times, so he has no excuse to misunderstand it, other than for him being like a complete dumbass or trying to use them for clickbait.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I thought she was very clear about saying that, they have no issue with it in itself, just when it's done improperly.
But the thing is, I think in his opinion, he doesn't he thinks any way to do it because it is written it makes it right, even though no, like there's a way to do it. All right, let's continue here.
Into kufr, I'm not saying she's a kafir, just be clear.
Yeah.
I'm saying this is virgin on kufr, that she is flirting with disbelief by speaking of an
Flirting is haram.
institution that the Prophet of Islam himself,
Yes.
he engaged in that. He did it himself, polygamy, with 9 different women. We have clear evidence that some of them were discontented, at least at some point.
Let's come to that.
But despite that, it's not seen as using the God card or spiritual abuse.
Good.
This tone, I believe, is...
So let me get this straight, Mr. Mohammed Hijab. Keeping your wife discontent makes you a good Muslim?
Well, I mean, I would say the definition of spiritual abuse is to kill someone's husband and then marry them the next day. Right?
Hey, Jen, you walked away from your phone. You sound like you're at the bottom of the well.
I guess she was mentioning that the Jewish woman that he took after the battle of...
Yeah, there was one of the wives where he killed her husband and then married her like that day. I'd say that's abusing spiritual, like abusing the rules, right?
Yeah,
I agree.
All right, let's play this.
highly problematic.
It is.
And it's totally unfair.
Exactly. Let's carry on so we can just get a full grasp on what's going on here, because I'm still looking for the problematic practice of polygamy, which they were going to talk about.
And I think that's dangerous, especially because we're talking about it not being executed properly. We have the example of the Prophet ﷺ. We know what it's supposed to look like. So in the cases where it doesn't look like that, and the woman has an aversion to it, or she's struggling, or there are conversations that aren't being had, there's support that's missing, there are spaces where she's being shamed and judged and sometimes ostracized by the community for taking issue with it, bullied into making a particular decision or not making a particular decision. We need to talk about that.
Yes. I think it's really important that we talk about the fact that these sisters, when it's not executed properly, that they are now trying to manage the trauma of being betrayed, of being lied to, of being deceived. They're now having to manage a completely different dynamic in their marriage, in their family. And then going back to what you said, on top of that, to now be shamed spiritually because there's something wrong with their faith, because they're not just smiling about it and accepting it. It's layer upon layer upon layer of trauma. And
sorry, can you just somebody explain to me what it is that they are actually talking about? What is to be executed properly?
Polygamy.
Polygyny.
So they are saying that this a male having several wives is just a process, and that it needs to be executed properly, and if not, then there's something wrong with that, but not in the fact as such, but only in the way it is being executed. Is that the only point they're trying to make?
Well, I'm not. I haven't watched this video, but I have. Mohammed Hijab has done another video on this same topic, and so I have seen bits of this original video. And I think part of the problem that they talk about, that may come up in this, is things like the husband hiding the second and the third and the fourth marriage from the first wife, or saying that even if she objects, he's still going to go ahead and do it, and even if they have a contract before the marriage to say you're not going to have any other wives, he may overrule it. I think they're probably talking about those kinds of issues, but
then it's a procedural issue.
Essentially, I suppose, yeah, you could describe it that way. Yeah,
I find this bizarre.
It's the but it's the brainwashing, isn't it? I mean, they've already been brought up to believe that this is okay. So,
but what woman accepts this kind of behavior? Come on. I mean, even today, it's very unusual for, for a Muslim man to have more than one wife. And for them now in the 21st century to go ahead and say, no, it's fine. You just need to follow the procedure. Excuse me, I'm gobsmacked.
well, yeah, I think it's it's this whole thing of you've got to consult your wife and you've got to be honest and open about it. And I don't know if Mohammed Hijab will say it in this video, but the other video which I've watched of him, he's essentially saying the woman has no right to do that. If the man wants to conceal it, if the man wants to go ahead without consulting her, if the man wants to do this and that, the woman just has to put up with it. That's essentially Mohammed Hijab's position. He's so extreme on it that I saw there was loads of comments from Muslim women in his own chat saying, what the hell are you talking about? You're going too far with this. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, come on. Do you remember a couple of years ago, Hamza Tsources was caught with his pants down on this Madison Ivy, on this dating site, where he did not tell his wife that in Australia he was seeking companionship from this dating app. And then when it was hacked, I mean, we found his name on the database. So he was one of the people who was doing exactly that, because then the argument was that he is allowed to do that because in Islam you're allowed more than one wife. So if he has a wife, he's married at home with kids and everything, but then if he seeks another wife, that is okay for him. Now, why is Hijab not talking about this incident? I mean, this is his mentor, so he should be criticizing his mentor and saying, well, Tsources did everything wrong.
they've probably forgotten about it, or they buried it. It was quite a while ago, wasn't it? I think that was
Yeah, it was
back in 2015 or something.
Yeah, let's continue the video as well. I think we're only like a sixth of the way there. So.
Go for it.
Like I said right at the beginning, we're not saying that polygamy is wrong. Polygamy is part.
So let's just rewind a bit, okay? So firstly, to me, it's turning into a horror movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
Trauma,
Absolutely.
bullying,
Yes.
betrayal. What was the other one she used? Spiritual abuse.
Yeah.
To me, it's just turning into an absolute horror.
Yeah.
Now, I understand. You can come and say to me, actually, it is a horror for a woman. No problem. And nobody said it won't be. We know now. She used, for example, like how the Prophet used to do it. Okay, let's look at how the Prophet ﷺ done it. Do you know that Aisha Anha was coming with she made a food plate, and the Sahaba there. Imagine the Prophet sitting with the companions. Yeah, imagine you're in your house with your boys. You're sitting with your boys, yeah, and then your wife comes in, and you have a plate of dish unintentionally by your other wife, and she smashes the plate in front of everybody. Bang! She smashes it. You're talking about how the Prophet done it. This is the best. These are our mothers, the best of women to walk this earth. One of them, yeah. She's behaving like this. This thought process of thinking that polygamy is going to be something that's going to be like hunky-dory, rosy. It's not the case. These things can happen. It shows you that if a man gets into this, these things can happen as long as the woman is not transgressing. The point is this. I want to ask a very simple question. What is, because this is again giving a disclaimer against one of.
Before he asks the question, I think he needs to understand the fact that she says there's nothing wrong with polygamy. She said it. That was the last statement she made before she put it. Like, he paused it. So what the bloody hell is he going on about? Talking about it's a horror film. All she's asking you is to fucking tell her before you do it.
Well, I thought it was ironic as well that he said, "Oh, I can't believe this is turning into a horror show. This is turning into bullying and all that," and then says, "Oh, well, for the woman, it is. I understand that." So then what the hell are you talking about? Why are you acting as if what she said was unreasonable when you just turn around and say, well, exactly.
Because
but for the man it
looks
so
bad.
That's his point, isn't
exactly.
it? For the man it wasn't a horror show, so who gives a fuck? That's basically
he doesn't give a shit. It's a horror show for the image of the institution of Islam, right? So that's what they're saving, trying to save face.
Yep, exactly.
Jen, doesn't it make you want to get in there and slap the guy?
These guys, these guys aren't worth the assault charge, honestly.
Yes, as a woman, I'd be so furious, listening to this. Even the girls. I mean, the women in the video. Come on. I mean, this is brainwashed, exactly, indoctrinated. Everything.
Well, right, and you did make a good point there. They're talking about it being executed properly, but it is being executed properly. Like, the husband does not have to get the wife's approval. They don't have to tell you. They could do whatever they want. And you have to suck it up. So, that was a really good point that you made there. Like, that is executing it properly, actually.
But there is a contradiction, though, because there's also a verse in the Quran that says you can only have these wives if you can
support them,
treat them equally, maintain them fairly and all that kind of thing. Well, how are you doing that if you're just overruling them and forcing them? And is that treating them fairly? Is that...
Well, if I remember correctly, there's also, again, I hate these hadiths, but there seems to be a hadith which actually tells the man that he has to at least mention it. I don't know if he needs to talk it over with his first, second, and third wives before he goes and launches into the fourth one. But there is a sort of a communication. There is some sort of ruling that you need to tell the people what you're about to do, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong on this one.
Yeah, I think I've read something like that as well. Should we roll on, Nick?
For sure, yeah. Let's go on.
Against polygamy, you turned it into a horror movie. How could you not be against it? Oh, all these words of big words, bullying, etc., etc. Look what you've turned it.
What did he just say?
Did
he
words.
Say, how can you not be against it?
Let's roll it back.
She smashes it. You're talking about how the Prophet done it. This is hunky-dory, rosy. It's not the case. These things can happen. It shows you that if a man gets into this, these things can happen as long as the woman is not transgressing. The point is this. I want to ask a very simple question. What is, because this is again giving a disclaimer, against one or against polygamy, you turned it into a horror movie. How could you not be against it? Oh, all these words of big words, bullying, etc., etc. Look what you've turned it into. If a sister, her husband was getting into polygamy and she watched this, you would destroy your house. Yeah. You would be responsible for destroying the house. Because let me tell you something.
Well, the guy's destroying the house by going in without telling anyone.
And how is that not just a blatant guilt trip against the woman just for even having a problem with it? Oh, if you've got a problem with it, you destroy the household. I mean, it's ridiculous.
I mean, my biggest problem with polygamy is actually not the treatment of women in Islam. It's the problem that it enforces inheritance structures that, enforces clan structures in turn. Because if you don't marry outside of your clan, or if you have polygamy, it's much easier to marry inside of your clan. You don't get women over that you can marry outside, and that strengthens clan thinking. And it strengthens also the possibility to actually marry inside your clan rather than to be forced to have to create nets outside of it, and that destroys society in the longer run, I think.
Should we roll on?
Yeah.
People can easily get manipulated, okay? Especially the society that you're living in. If for example, somebody suffers from a trauma, for example, okay, let's suppose a mother lost a child, and she goes to a household to get some, for them to, console her, and, and imagine they added to a burden and said, oh, your child's going to be in hellfire, or your child. Have you aided that, or have you made it easy? Have you took burdens off or added burdens?
Exactly. I think
and that's exactly what you're doing. And the point is this. Let me ask a simple question.
I do not understand that. Can one of you explain it to me?
No one can explain. Let's just roll on.
As men, I'll make it very clear. I've said this publicly and I'll say it again. Okay, every man is polygamous. Any man that says he's not polygamous, he's a liar. So to think that sisters have this envision in their mind, they think that there is one guy out there. Every person practices polygamy or is polygamous within their nature, Muslim or non-Muslim. I want to ask a simple question. Please tell us, because I can easily come and say, okay, tell us the correct way to do it. And if you can tell us the correct way to do it, and if we do it, will you be happy? No. So then what is the discussion at hand?
Well, you asked, so I'm going to tell you the correct way to do it. In Toronto, it's a really common thing to have polyamorous relationships where people will constantly share, like, female will have 2 male partners or a male will have 2 female partners. The way they go about it is before they go do the dirty, they'll all sit down. They'll all talk to each other. Hey, are you okay with this? Are you not okay with this? What's going on? Who are you? What, this, that? They'll talk about it. And then if all is cool, then they go into the actual contract basis for this. So it's never hidden. Every single activity is known amongst all the partners that are involved.
Nick, can I also just raise a point here? Because I think Ali Dawah has just let the mask slip with his last little rant. You always get this idea from, Muslims will say, oh, no, the reason for polygamy is to help the widows of war and to, it's this noble charitable thing. Yet what has he just ranted? He's basically said that every man wants to sleep around, whether Muslim or non-Muslim. Everyone wants to be polygamous. So therefore, he's just admitting this is really just about, it's not really about some noble goal. It's about satisfying a man's desire to have sex with more than one woman.
Facts.
To me, that's the way I see it.
And that's what I was going to ask you for, men. Are you guys, would you consider yourselves polygynous by nature?
No.
If it was put on the table, I wouldn't mind, but like it has to be offered. I'm not going to go out and ask, hey, can we bring in like third person into this?
I think that actually most men want to have polygamy, but I don't think polygamy is good for society.
I would say that, yeah, I mean, as long as you got blood pumping through your veins, and this is for men and for women, you're going to be attracted to other people. But that doesn't mean that you necessarily want to have sex with everyone that you're attracted to. I mean, it's a biological impulse, but there's other factors going on there. We're not just animals incapable of controlling our urges. So I just think it's,
there is also the cost calculus is a bit different for men versus women. Men can just, to use the very crass term, pump and dump, and then go on.
I think that some women are capable of doing that as well. I mean, you have contraception, you have there's various things, so you're not going to get pregnant.
Yeah, but I'm talking about a longer evolutionary perspective. But that's
but I'd also say this. Right, call me old-fashioned, but there might also be considerations like you actually love the partner you're with and you're happy with them, and therefore maybe you don't want to ruin that. Again, call me old-fashioned.
I agree with that. But I'm saying that what our urges want and what our higher brain functions want are not always the same thing.
Yeah, but our higher brain functions really should be in control if we want to be civilized.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I think guys also have like a seventh sense, or like a sixth or seventh sense. If they can sense that their car is going to be keyed in the near future, they probably wouldn't go near that.
Well, Jen, I mean, what about from your perspective? I mean, do you think that? I mean, I assume that women also want to have sex outside of their relationship. I mean, women cheat just as much as men do. So, I mean, it's sort of done as this idea that men are the only ones who are kind of horny for sex outside their relationship. I would say that it's a drive for women as well. Do you agree? Or?
Well, yeah, definitely. I mean, we all have desires, right? Like we desire things, but I think most rational adults would weigh the benefits and negatives of, or the positives and negatives of pursuing those desires, right? So if I'm married and you lust after somebody else, it doesn't mean that like you're going to pursue that, but they're just giving an open door, like go ahead, pursue it, you're good, you could do it 4 times. And there's no I guess restriction or like self-control. They're not emphasizing that.
Also, for me, and this may just be me, maybe this doesn't affect anyone else, but I would actually the guilt of betraying my partner would ruin any pleasure that I think I could get out of sleeping around. I know that's probably not true for a lot of people, but for me it is. I would just be racked with guilt over it, so it wouldn't be worth it.
I agree.
It wouldn't be worth the one night, getting your end away if you've got a lifetime of guilt to go with it.
Yeah, and I think there is like a difference in mentality. Like after hours of watching To Catch a Predator for research, the male predators are always like the female predators have this elaborate story about their emotions and such. Then whenever the male predators get caught, it's like they just sit there like, uh-oh. Like half of them have this like view, like thinking Chris Hansen's like the dad or there for a threesome or something. Another half are like have their pants down, like uh-oh kind of look. So I think it's just like the mentality of requiring it of what you want it. Men more so do it for the sexual side, whereas the woman would do it more so for the emotional side.
Yeah, I think that's true for some, but I think that there are women out there who just want to do it.
Yeah, I mean these things are like a spectrum. You have trends when it comes to the sexes, but that doesn't mean that every individual fits within that trend.
Yeah. Anyways, let's
right, and that's why the nature part was like kind of like, is this something that's in specifically male DNA that you are, have higher, I guess, sex drives than women? Like, I don't.
Well, to bring it back to the Islamic perspective, though, if this is the case, then why is Allah making this kind of nature for men and women to cause these kinds of problems in the first place? Why not just make men and women naturally feel that they don't want to have more than one partner, and then there wouldn't be an issue? Surely Allah had the power to do that, to create humans that way.
Well, even Aisha said, I see Allah hearkens to your desires, so,
Yeah, good point.
Yeah. All right, let's roll on with the video here.
No, it's a good question, and in fact the Quran makes it clear ولن تستطيعوا أن تعدلوا بين النساء ولو حرصتم فلا تميلوا كل الميل فتذروها كالمعلقة. The Quran says you're not going to be able to do justice between your wives, and even if you try, but it doesn't say therefore this is stop doing your spiritual abuse.
Exactly.
It doesn't say therefore stop using the God card.
Yeah, what does it say?
And therefore it says فلا تميلوا كل الميل don't incline so much so you leave the other one hanging. Yes. It's giving you practical advice.
Pragmatic.
I'm afraid to say that this conversation here, as you correctly said, you've identified it and characterized it correctly. These women here are actually characterizing an institution with the most negative superlatives, most negative adjectives, with most horrible of context. I'm afraid to say that this is anti-resilience. Like if you want to get someone tougher and stronger in life, you don't do so by. If polygamy is a difficult thing for women to do, let's be.
Of course,
you said it yourself. For example, what you correctly said is that when Aisha radiallahu anha, she broke the plate, and Nawawi actually comments about this in his sharh. Yeah, he says that this is من التصرفات الغير إرادية أو يعني something similar to that. He's saying this is from something that she done which is involuntary actions, and she's not held to account for it, in fact.
Well,
yeah,
there you go.
Look, Islam is a religion of mercy, okay? But having said all of that, to be honest, if you can...
Lol.
Oh, yeah.
I had to let out a laugh there. Sorry.
All of the examples of where there has been...
Jenny, you were saying something?
وَرَحْمَةُ اللَّهِ عَلَيْهِمْ.
Let's roll on.
been transgressions like this, or there have been mishaps or whatever from the mothers of the believers. Of the thousands, no, but of the thousands, you will find a dozen maximum.
Yes.
Yeah. What we're dealing with here is a situation where individuals find it okay to actually hold their husbands, judge, jury, and executioner as hostage to some kind of injustice, perceived injustice they think they're doing to them.
Yes.
There is nothing inherently unjust about being in a polygynous situation.
Drastic measures. I got a question for you.
Go ahead.
Do you think Mohammed Hijab's asshole is jealous of the bullshit that comes out of his mouth?
Do I think what?
Do you think Mohammed Hijab's asshole is jealous of the shit that comes out of his mouth?
I don't know.
Yes.
I think they are indistinguishable at this point.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Yes.
There is as much inherently unjust in being in a polygynous situation as there is of marrying a man who your mother doesn't want you to marry.
Yes.
Even though she's upset.
Yeah.
If you are
Yeah, it says jealous as a Islamic wife and polygamous relationship.
unhappy at the fact that your husband did something that hurt you, you should also be unhappy with the millions of women out there in the Muslim world who in some cases their mother, some cases their father, because as we know some madhabs don't even need the wali, right, like the Hanafi madhab and so on, in order for the nikah to be sahih, and other madhabs will remove the wali if he's being unreasonable. So it's conceivable that the father doesn't even get a say, or is removed from the equation when it comes to marriage, and he is very unhappy, but a woman's right is spoken about then. It's not a woman's responsibility.
Exactly.
It's a woman's privilege and her independence.
Yeah.
It's not spiritual abuse here.
Exactly.
You see, even if the mother is frail and old and a woman herself, it's not seen as spiritual abuse or traumatic. And how can you as a woman get married?
Did he just say that even if the mother is a woman herself? I mean, I would have thought that's Sorry.
Man, this is so ridiculous. I mean, this is really arguing like you're in the 7th century. Please, I mean, this is...
And put your mother in such traumatic experiences. This is the kind of consistency
Your disappointment to your mother.
that is required. If what we're saying here is to moralize something, okay, is to look at the detriments that it causes someone psychologically at the expense of someone else.
Yes.
It seems to be that, number one, they don't really have their morality and their moral theories and compass and order, number one. Number two, sorry to say this, but it does seem to be an inqiyad issue, a submission issue, an Islam issue. It's an issue of submission and iman.
Yes.
If you truly believe in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and you believe in his rulings, I'm sorry to say,
Offer Fies King, please don't say it out loud. Mohammed Hijab will get a heart attack for you thinking that he likes LGBTQ or agrees with LGBTQ stuff. You'll kill him with a heart attack.
So what he said here is he's doing exactly what the girls were saying, right? If you have strong enough faith, if you truly believe in Allah, if you submit to Allah, then you will have no problem. So he's implying that if you have a problem that you really don't have the faith or you really don't, he's doing exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah, he's being a bully, basically, isn't he? He's trying to guilt trip them into just accept it. It doesn't matter if you feel like it because of it. Just accept it because it's your duty.
Right. This is literally the spiritual abuse that the girl was explaining.
Yep, 100%.
All right, let's continue.
and you have full faith in that, and you did what Allah said when He said, "Udkhulu fi silmi kaffa," come into Islam altogether.
Okay, good.
You cannot describe the situation of living in a marriage which potentially you'd be getting all your rights as a first wife in such traumatic fashion.
Yes. Wallahi, polygamy is the most beautiful thing that has been stipulated by Allah because it lays down protocols how to protect the... Look, this is what I found crazy.
Brother, that's exactly what she's saying. There's procedures on how to do it, and she's talking about the times that people don't follow those procedures. You said you watched it a lot of times. How do you not get this shit?
Yeah, and it's the most beautiful thing because it gives you rules of how men can have sex with more than one woman. And that's why it's the most beautiful thing in Islam.
as sisters, our dear sisters, you guys are our sisters. Wallahi, we're saying this because we love you guys for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We're just trying to make you understand something, okay? If you want woman empowerment and you care about your
if you want woman empowerment, let me mansplain to you how to get it.
sisters, polygamy has been sent as a protocol to help defend the rights of the second, third, and fourth wife, who, in non-Muslim terms, or even should I say some Muslims, men who practice in the wrong way, who have side chicks, mistresses, and girlfriends. Allah stipulated that if the man wants to go and do that, he does it in the right way by honoring her, speaking to her father, doing the marriage, giving her mahr, announcing the marriage, not hidden. You should be at the forefront of defending this, because as a non-Muslim woman, a man, if he was watching this, I'll say this is a horror movie.
Yeah.
This is horror. This is polygamy. This is I would be lying in the shaitan.
It's anti-dawah.
I would say this
is anti-dawah.
Yes, this is, and actually, you know what? It'll be spiritual abuse on the person that's watching it.
Yes.
Yes, because they might want to come to Islam and they'll think, you know what? They'll say, you know what? This is
she doesn't consider
you spiritually bankrupted me. I'm finished. No. Let's be honest. Let's carry on.
Nick, can you pause it just 1 second? It's a very quick point. When Ali Dawah said, as long as you don't keep it hidden, Mohammed Hijab looked very uncomfortably at him, and I know why, because as I say, in this other video, he's arguing the exact opposite point. He's saying that a Muslim man can keep it hidden from his wife, and the wife has no right to complain. So Hijab is being a hypocrite here by not even going against that. Maybe he will later in the video, but he said it explicitly in another video that a man can keep it hidden from his first wife. So I just want to make that point.
Yeah. Let's continue.
Into liking this and responding and fitting into what you need to fit into, or else there's something wrong with you. And I think on the, for a woman who identifies as practicing and religious, okay, some people are in a position where they don't want to talk to a mental health professional and they don't want, so let's look for answers in the deen, because this is something that the religion brought, so I need to find answers there. And when you start to search and see, if you look up polygamy, in Arabic and in English, and you want to see what the scholarship have to say about it, the attitude is less than helpful. There is a little bit of giggle culture. Yeah, the women get jealous, and it's not being taken seriously. No. And you realize that, okay, there is no one in the religious context who has my back on this. In fact, the way that they're talking about it, it's very surface level, and it stops at this is actually allowed in the religion. And of course, the men have to be just, and of course, but we're not talking about it seriously. There's no nuance. There is no consideration for the woman's position besides, sister, you have to be patient, because if a woman stepped out on her marriage, the vicious, poisonous, throw her out and get he could spit on camera. But in a man's position, as long as we get a paper from the mosque and we cover it up.
I think what she said.
What do you guys think about what she said?
I mean, she's voicing legitimate concerns, right? And these are the things that people like these guys are just glossing over. Like this girl, whether she's been through it or I don't know what happened, but she's voicing like sincere concerns that these women are going through. And okay, yeah, you're allowed for wives, but when she said like there's no nuance, so as a woman, it would be very hard for me if my husband said, I'm going to get a second wife. Whether he told me prior or just went ahead and did it, how do you not think like you're not good enough? That it's a blatant, like you're not fulfilling his desires, you're not good enough, therefore he must seek other. So, and this is the whole thing that's like completely being neglected. It's really, they're in a tough position.
Where is the applause button? Thank you. Perfect. Spot on. Yeah.
One thing I wanted to comment upon, when we think about these people actually discussing, because there is no doubt that polygamy is part of Islamic, tradition. There's no doubt about that. But many things related to it that are for the man's advantage and some things for the woman, but let's discuss that elsewhere. What I'm truly observing about when these two people speak about it is that their eyes aren't on the camera. Now it could just be that they are sitting awkwardly, but it seems like their eyes are always looking at something else. Like they're actually not really interested in defending this because they believe in it. It feels more like they just are doing the motions. Is that just me, or?
Yeah, I'd say it too. And the way Mohammed Hijab laughed when Ali Dawah said you should keep it open, kind of thinks he went the full 9 yards with the wives. All puns intended.
I think their body language is just indicative of their whole attitude of, we shouldn't even have to be making this video. These sisters are just bitching about nothing. They should just shut up and accept it. That seems to be their attitude that comes out in their body language, to me anyway.
Yeah. Offerfice King asks a really good question here, I think. What do you guys think of this?
I don't see how the Institute of Closet Bisexuality, is that an institute?
Or I think more so the suppression of that bisexuality in religion.
I don't know. I think it might be good to reframe the question, because that's kind of...
I don't actually think that, group activities of the carnal nature are allowed.
Yeah, what are you suggesting, author? Are you saying that they're all going to have sex together? Because, like Culture Ginny says, I don't think that is Islamically acceptable, that it's a group activity. I thought the man was just supposed to have sex with one woman at a time. Unless I've missed a hadith somewhere.
Alright, so until that question's reframed, let's continue with the video.
The beginning there was extremely dangerous, and she says that if you do, I'm paraphrasing, but if you do a search in English or in Arabic, you'll find that it's not helpful, and that there's a giggle culture and all these kind of things, giving us the impression that she's already done this work, and that she's looked at all of the resources that in English that are available and all the resources that are in Arabic that are available in the Islamic tradition. Because if we talk about scholarship, we're not talking about the last 20 or 30 years. Yeah. We are talking about the last 1,400 years. Yes. And by the way, that would include Aisha and the mothers of the believers. Yes. That would include the female scholars, which she has forgotten about, quite frankly, in her tirade. Yeah. But what I'm saying here is to put people away from the religious discourse in favor of something else. If not deviance, then what is it?
No, this is very dangerous, because the thing is, what's being told is this: Islamically, we're bankrupt. There's nothing to offer here.
Exactly.
And then she talks about coach. What did she mention in the beginning about coaching? Did she say, or something like therapy or something along those lines? I mean, what do you want us to do? Go to the non-Muslims? I mean, yes, you can. There's nothing wrong with that if you're going for certain issues. But when you've done,
I like how he puts in go to the non-Muslims here. Hey, why the hell am I even associating with you guys now? I shouldn't be here.
Yeah, the wicked kafar therapists. I mean, how dare you stoop to that level, right?
I got an honest question here. To anyone who can answer, what do religious people genuinely have against therapy? I genuinely don't
he
understand.
kind of explains it. He explains it if you play on. He does.
All right, let's go.
Is you've emptied, as if Islam has nothing to offer on this matter.
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's finished. Islam, don't turn to Islam.
Is the plea of psychological resources.
Yes, it has nothing to offer. As if Allah, the Quran, the Sunnah, there's nothing to offer.
Yeah.
Now we're going to have to go to these therapists, whoever they are. God knows. One of them told me a story that sister was going through something. She went to this therapist, this non-Muslim therapist, and you know what they said to her? Explore your sexuality, go sleep around. Yeah, let's go to these people. They're going to come.
Go to individuals that are not.
What do you think they're going to say to you, my dear sister? Let's suppose your husband is going through, is getting married, a second wife. Yeah, you go to a therapist, and you say to this therapist, "My husband got married again." What do you think she's going to say? She's going to give you ways of dealing with it? No, they're going to give you ways of destroying it. Yeah, let's be honest. Yeah, as a Muslim woman, if you are so, I'll be honest with you, I see anger in your eyes. I see anger in your eyes. Like my sister, I see.
Sorry, can we pause it? Yeah, I was just going to say, does anyone believe this story that an actual proper professional therapist said to someone, "I'll just go sleep around"? That's the way to deal with
Not in
your issue.
100 years.
That's absolute bullshit. I'm sorry, it's just there's no professional therapist would say something like that. Sorry, just had to get that out.
Especially to a married Muslim woman.
Yeah,
come on,
it's just
this is the dumbest thing. Right, and this is what they're scared of, right? They're scared that these, kafar therapists might possibly taint these women somehow by, telling them, well, maybe you should divorce him, or, maybe think about how you actually feel. And if those feelings lead to that they want to divorce them, then that's going to be, that terrible influence of the kafar, right?
Well, and it's interesting because I remember Mariam Nawazi years ago. She was on the Gin and Tonic show, and she was talking about the these Sharia courts in the UK. I mean, they're not courts exactly, but they're kind of arbitration services. And she was talking about how women who've been seriously abused, physically abused in their relationships, Muslim women, were being advised by the men of these Sharia arbitration services to stay with their wives, to stay with their husbands. So I think, given the choice, I think the evil non-Muslim therapist is much more likely to give sane advice than, say, stay with the guy who's beating the shit out of you. So yeah, I just think it's hilarious. And
No. Thinking drastic measures, you don't understand it. She's training for a boxing match. This is just a sparring accident.
Well, I don't want to make too much light of that because there's serious consequences for that kind of advice. And yet Ali Dawah is basically making stuff up that you shouldn't go to a non-Muslim therapist who might, like Jen says, might advise that you might need.
I got a genuine question. Ali Dawah hates the kuffar, as he calls them, so much with a passion, and you can see it in the way he talks. Why the bloody hell is he still in London? His best friends, the Taliban, took over after Afghanistan. He can happily go live there.
Good point.
Yeah.
Should we roll on?
Yeah.
To be fair, it can be the case that you have a neutral therapist that won't get involved in moral issues.
No problem.
But no, you're right. The point stands, which is that she is clearly pushing people away from the religious discourse.
No, of course. Not only that,
offering them. She's saying that this does not have the resources for your psychological concerns,
which is dangerous. The thing is, bro, if she as a Muslim,
it's more than dangerous.
These are three sisters who are observing the hijab. They are believing women who fear Allah. We have to believe they fear Allah. If they are coming and saying this,
Did he say feel or fear?
Fear.
All right. Yeah. Why do you need to fear a God?
Aki, what am I going to expect from a non-Muslim woman? If the believing women are coming and giving our sisters this advice, I'm so sorry. I'm not saying they intentionally have a malicious intent. I do not mean that. But if you guys can be so, it's an emotional statement. I'm sorry, I've not one Quran Sunnah. I've heard emotional statements. And if you're going to come...
they don't mention the...
Well, if a Muslim person is giving this advice, that, be accepting of polygamy or whatever, or like stay with an abusing husband, non-believer is going to give you the opposite advice. Talk about your polygamous marriage, or don't stay with an abusing husband. They're going to give the better advice.
Yep.
Not at all.
Exactly. Okay.
The whole 35 minutes.
If that's the case, if you guys are mentioning this as sisters, imagine a co-sister coming to you guys and thinking hijabi, Muslim, believing. What advice are going to give me? My husband got a second wife. I swear to God, that woman will leave the meeting, blackmailing her husband, probably using the kids against her. He will do all kinds of stuff. Why? Because she will say, like they said, because you've done this to me, and spiritual abuse and bullying. Exactly. They're going to leave that meeting.
Yes. This is
devastated.
The thing is, the issue is,
it's very dangerous.
It gets worse when she starts saying that the scholars or whoever is religious clergymen, they say, let's be patient, and she says that's only patience.
Why not patience?
Patience is one of the deepest.
Why not patience?
Patience is one of the most deep and important
parts of Islam.
Aspects of the religion of Islam.
Yes.
So what I'm saying is that if someone's giving you,
Anyone want to say something?
Well, we've seen a demonstration of that patience, haven't we, recently with Salman Rushdie being stabbed. Yeah, they were really patient of the criticism that they've been trying to murder him for 35 years.
Oh no! Drastic measures. You're taking it out of context. When they mean patient, they mean they want you to become a patient in a hospital.
Well, I just again, patience isn't a
I
word
think-
I would. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. The thing that I don't like about this bit right here is that they're assumed that women are going to blackmail the men and use the children against them. Like, where is that coming from? Like, that's kind of messed up to just so they're assuming that these women who are speaking are broken women and they're malicious. And he said, I see anger in your eyes. Like, why shouldn't she be angry? But to assume that someone's going to blackmail and, like, I don't know. I just think that's really telling of how he thinks about his Muslim sisters.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be much love or trust in these marriages if that is the default position to go to. If you've got a problem with this, I'm going to assume that you're going to blackmail me and destroy the family and take the children away or something.
All right, let's continue
Which is
here.
blackmail in itself. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, let's continue here.
The advice which Allah gives you in the Quran, which is وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالْحَقِّ وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ. Literally, وَتَوَاصَوْا بِالصَّبْرِ, exhort one another to patience, and you're ridiculing them.
And wallahi,
you're ridiculing them on the basis that they are doing exactly what the Quran tells them to do by the word. And so, do you think you're following the Quran or your own desires?
Wallahi, I can even tell you something. Like Allah says in the Quran, فَإِنَّ مَا الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَا الْأُسْرِ يُسْرًا. Yeah? Aki, wallahi, when Allah says something, verily with hardship comes ease. Indeed, with hardship comes ease. Wallahi, if a sister comes to me and says, my husband got married again, I'll ask her some basic questions. Sister, does he pray? Yes. Does he practice? Good. Is he holistically, in totality, is he a good guy? Yes. Does he provide? Does he, all this kind of stuff, pays with etc. Stay with them, sister. Wallahi al-azim. You go, these sisters, they listen to their friends, these friends, okay, well, he did that to you. Please shut up. Yeah, don't act like your husband's not polygamous. Don't act like your husband is not doing it in either. We hope you do this in the halal way or in the haram way.
Crazy. This is straight.
Yeah, stop acting like your husband. Every man.
Oops, sorry. I thought the cutout was that you stopped.
What's been funny though?
This is totally crazy because this is straight out of the 7th century. This is straight out of the Quran, chapter 66 or something. Women are ungrateful, and you are the provider. You do everything, and they're still complaining. You cannot get it right, can you? Women are always going to be complaining. This is so silly. This is so ridiculously misogynistic. This is so sexist. It's unbelievable that these guys live in the 21st century and are sitting in front of a camera and still go and spout this absolute bullshit. This is crazy.
I agree. And even though the video was cutting in and out a little bit there, you noticed what he said. He said, "Oh, they go to their friends and say, oh, we did this or did that." And then he says, "Oh, don't act as if your husbands are not all out there being polygamous, either in the halal way or the haram way." So he's basically saying that every Muslim man out there is either got a second or third wife or is cheating on their wives. That's essentially what he just said there. So again, it just amazes me. You know, this great moral system that Islam is supposed to be. You know, they're not all living like the Kuppers, and he's just said that the Muslim men will be cheated on their wives if they don't have another wife anyway. So I don't know if anyone else caught that because the video was cutting in and out a bit, but that's what I heard anyway. I know if you want to play it back a little bit, Nick, just to catch that. But...
we're only at like the 25-minute mark in an hour-long video.
Oh, don't worry about it. Yeah, let's just skip on it.
Yeah, I caught that though, for sure.
Yeah, and also we're at the 1 hour 40-minute mark. Do you guys want to finish the whole video, or do you want to watch until the halfway point and then continue at another time or something?
Halfway.
All right.
Because it gets tedious and uninteresting for anybody watching.
For sure. All right. So we'll stop it at like the 30-minute mark, and then we'll just continue it next week or something.
Okay.
All right.
Is polygamous, you're going to destroy that house, sister. You're going to believe it and destroy your house.
And you know what,
guess
Ali?
what? Those friends are not going to be there for you.
That's it.
Promise you.
That's
the
it.
reason I'm saying is this:
That's
you
it.
get
Mohammed Hijab saying next to him, like, you preach, you go, girl, preach.
in a hype and you believe these sisters, etc. Now they can say something very easily.
No, you're right.
And please, they're going to come and say, you guys are men. It's easy for you to say,
Please let me speak. Shut the fuck up.
Like the giggle culture.
Yeah,
no
giggle
problem.
culture.
Check
We're
this
not
out.
giggling
Check
here.
this out. Check this out. No problem. Check this out, bro. Yeah. Okay. What does Allah say that we as men have to do? We're the maintainers and the protectors. No problem. That means when a thief comes to the house, brother, am I sending my wife? Or am I going?
No, you're going yourself.
Going. Am I the maintainer? I pay for the bill, electricity, gas, water.
I don't know about that. I think you're the kind of guy that
No.
You don't do this.
Alhamdulillah.
Giggle culture.
Yeah, that's the giggle culture right there.
Yeah, that was kind of creepy.
Yeah, the way that Ali Dawah is talking right now, I'm pretty sure he has like lunchtime tea every day with Andrew Tate.
Alhamdulillah, my wife is watching this.
Yeah.
She knows, wallahi, I do not like, I tell her, she loves being a mother. It's the best thing. Wallahi, I see happiness in her eyes when she's with our kids, yeah? The point is this, bro. On top of that, add this. When a war happens, what's happening in Ukraine? Yeah? What's happening? Bro, even the transgender women are being stopped. No, you're a man now. Yeah? I'm gonna ask a simple question, bro. If we are called, let's say if a war happens, argument's sake, let's say, yeah, and we attend, do you love going to war?
Me personally?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
You're asking the wrong guy.
It depends on who's on the other side. If it's the kuffar, yeah, Mohammed Hijab taking out his shirt, tossing it at them, telling them that they're sons of bitches.
I'm sure he'd like to go to war against a Shia as well, to be fair. Yeah. You know.
I'm going to look forward to his answer, but he's referring to a sentence in the Quran which says, "You want to fight even though you don't want to."
Okay.
All right, let's continue.
One second. Do you look forward to going to war?
No one will.
Okay.
Yeah,
do you look forward to going and saying my limb might come off?
No.
Actually, you know what? I might not come home. Actually, you know what? No, 1 second. Actually, forget the arm getting.
I'm with you, Ali.
Okay, imagine you don't even come home at all, and you're imagine the thought for every man.
Let's just pause it for a second. What I don't understand is he is now being anti-Quran, because number one, the Quran says you want to fight even though you don't want to. Number two, it says that Allah is going to grant you victory, and you've got God on your side, so there's no way that you're going to lose anything. So you're not going to lose a limb or anything. So what he's doing is he's contradicting the Quran at the moment. Congratulations.
And on top of that, if you die fighting in the cause of Allah, do you not automatically go to paradise? So
yeah, but if you lose just an arm, you don't. So it's true that, you know, if you're being dismembered or something, it doesn't really affect you at all, except in your future life on earth. Yeah, which again, according to the Quran, the bigger the test, which means if you lose an arm, it's a bigger test, so the bigger your reward in heaven. So,
absolutely,
you know, what the hell is he talking about?
All right, let's continue.
Imagine your wife might go if I pass away, my wife's gonna go marry someone else. Which one's worse? You have a husband that has another wife, but he's still in your life and your kid's life. But compared to what we're gonna go through when we go to war, the chance of being killed. Number two, not returning home. Can I come and say, but this is not fair, man. This is spiritual abuse, man. My wife will be the first one to say, get out there and defend.
It's true.
Yallah.
It's true.
Yallah. Am I going to complain? We accept what Allah has legislated for us, which is much harder, I'll be honest with you, than polygamy, because we're going to end up dying or get our limbs shot in some instances. Then how can you come here and use these kind of words?
I think what you said in this, you're getting very emotional.
I will like it, because you know why? You know why, bro? It hurts me.
It hurts me that they're telling me not to marry another person or cheat on my wife. It hurts me, man.
And isn't it easy for Ali Dawah to invoke this thing of, going to war? He is sitting in Britain. He knows there's no chance in his fucking life he's going to have to go to war. So he can pretend, I've got this great burden on me, when he knows he's never going to have to go to war. So it's just cheap. It's cheap sentiment or cheap emotional manipulation. Like
and
Ali,
I say...
Do we really think Ali's going to be on the front lines of any war? I don't know.
Can I play the devil's advocate?
No, you may not.
Okay.
Go ahead. MJ.
Yeah. I mean, for us that actually live, close to Russia, or,
Yeah, he lives in
those-
London, mate. It's
yeah,
not really
he does it. But, the argument in itself, if we take it to a context where it would be relevant, for example, where you would be, at, risk of constant war, like it was in the past when, this supposed revelation, then he could actually have a point about
Yeah, but
greater privilege.
Yeah, but that would mean fighting somebody else's war, because he's not worried about fighting Russia. He's worried about fighting the kuffar.
Yes.
Well, that's the thing, right? He would never join the Kaffar's army. So it's not like he's going to be signing up to go to, the Crown's army, right?
Exactly.
It's bullshit.
Well, that's what I mean. But he gets to sit safely in the Kuffar country, protected by the Kuffar. He would never sign up for the army on account of his religion, his belief. And yet he'll talk about this big burden of going to war. It's not like he's ever going to move to a Muslim majority country, is he? So this is just all bullshit.
Yeah.
All right, let's play.
Down of the family unit.
No, I get that.
It's not a joke.
But what I will say is this, bro. Is like, honestly, yeah. One thing you did say, which is I think completely true, yeah, is that individuals like Sister Somaya here, yeah, she will give advice to other sisters, as she would in the end of this episode. We'll see that, sometimes the individual is more important than the whole, because the individual, she will say it in her own articulation. But basically, in directing the advice for divorce, and we've already dealt with this in previous episodes, that she does this quite often. It seems like it's her favorite type of advice.
It's dangerous.
But then she is not going to be there, monetarily or otherwise, for the sister that is going to be stuck with, I don't know how many children, even if she's alone, without it. She's not going to be there to
yes, of course.
So aren't you.
Bloody hell. Really, I mean, this is so cheap. Exactly, this is the point. He's not going to be there for the woman. If she goes and submits any further, he is not going to be able to offer her any kind of comfort. He's not going to be there to offer her any kind of compensation for anything. She just has to go and cry at night if her husband goes and has another 3 wives or something. He's not there to take the consequences. All he can do, self-righteous hijab, can say, well, it's the Islamic way. It's the Islamic law. God did this. It's not me. It's God who decided on this. What a prick.
Yeah.
All right, let's continue.
To assist, to help, sorry to say, to physically assist, to sexually satisfy. You don't have the facility to deal with all of that. To psychologically be a companion for that individual.
Yes.
And you don't even want or have told your people that are listening to this, yes, who are very impressionable and probably going through a very difficult situation.
Yeah.
You haven't even told them. You haven't gone as far as to even tell them that, in fact, they're in for a long period of grieving and heartbreak.
Exactly.
Why don't you tell them about the fact that if you leave and if you try and break your home, not only will you be grieving, your children will be grieving. There'll be heartbreak everywhere.
Bro, look at the studies on single parent homes. Yeah? We're not blaming the mother. What we're saying is in single mother homes, bro, it destroys the family unit, bro. It does. Especially the children.
It does.
How could someone be so selfish? And look, I don't know if these sisters have gone through it personally themselves, but if they have or they haven't, if they have, bro, it is dangerous for you to use something which you may have disliked. Let's suppose arguments that it happened the wrong way. He did it the wrong way. Then you to come and use that bitterness to take it out on the whole ummah. Because now what you're doing is you're giving advice to these sisters based on something that you lived through, which was, let's say, done the wrong way. Okay, let's suppose that polygamy that your husband done was the wrong way. And now you're out bitter, hurt, and you are channeling that energy in such a way that it is destroying the family unit, the households. It's irresponsible behavior.
Absolutely.
No.
All right, we're gonna.
Talking about? Come on, it's so easy. You just leave Islam and you're done. That's it.
Like he's saying, even if they've done it in the wrong way, you're going out and you're destroying other households. No, she's going out and saying, I don't want this to happen to any other women. Why is that a bad thing?
Exactly, it's not. You see, but he is so primitive, or these two are so primitive, they don't understand it.
The thing that I always thought about, so say your husband has 4 wives, right? So that's about once a week you're going to see him, maybe, or twice, depending on like how the days roll. So would it be like once one week and then twice the next week? So basically you're seeing your husband like say twice every 8 days, and you have 3 children, but their dad is only around twice every 8 days. Isn't that basically just being a single mother?
Yeah, I was going to make the exact same point, actually. Yeah, you're essentially...
It's like you're not taking care of
got-
your kids. You're stopping by and saying hi every once in a while. Like, are you even going to spend the night? Are you going to go back to number 3 or number 4? And it's like, at that point, yeah, you're paying everything. But, there's a paycheck, and then there's actually being a father. So it's like all this, like, oh, you're breaking up the home. Well, no, you broke up the home when you decided to only be here part-time.
Well, yeah, typically if you've got male custody after a divorce, maybe one weekend every 2 weeks with the children, plus 1 day during the week, which is about the same amount of time as if you had 4 wives and you were splitting up the time. So yeah, essentially you've made 4 single women households by taking 4 wives.
Yeah. Just to put it out there, we're going to do like our final statements and such because we are closer to our mark. But yeah, we'll watch the other half hour of the video next week, and then after that, we'll do Egypt.
Yep, sounds good.
All right, so let's go around. I know this was like a heavy subject. Everyone gets to say their final piece. Stops. Granddaddy of Gin and Tonic, want to go first?
Okay, Granddaddy forgets to unmute himself. Stop insulting me. Jeepers creepers, Granddaddy.
Call him the Godfather. It's more respectful.
And it's SMH, really. It's shaking my head all the way. I can't believe, number one, the women who are doing this, that they don't have more self-respect, that they don't have more standing in themselves to say, okay, look, I'm a member of the community. I'm a human being. I have the same rights as everybody else. Stop telling me that I am a second-class citizen the way that Islam is labeling me. I don't understand these guys, these 2 males who are sitting there and saying, well, the usual thing, these are not really perfect Muslims because they are saying something which is not right, because they are saying that you need to follow everything, and no, it's not. The man has the right, and forget everything else. I'm just sitting here and I'm shaking my head in disbelief, thinking, who is still accepting Islam in the 21st century? It's corrupt, it's broken, it's completely useless. And there are still people in the 21st century accepting whatever it says in Islam. And for me, it's unbelievable.
All right. Drastic measures, you want to go next?
Yeah, I mean, Stops has pretty much encapsulated it for me. I mean, I would just add on one final bit to that. Is not only is it unbelievable that the women through the religion have already, they can't be brainwashed to accept this situation. Even when these sisters are trying to make the most minor criticisms within that already unfair system, they get dumped on. Even just for the most minor criticisms, they're blackmailed emotionally by the likes of Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah to say, no, you've got to accept it even worse. You've got to accept the worst possible interpretation of an already bad situation, which I just think is even worse. So I'll say it's SMFH, shake my fucking head, because
That's good.
All right, Jen, the woman of our group, what's your opinion from the female perspective?
Well, I think, what Ali Dawah said was kind of spot on. Yeah, it's easy for men to sit there and say all this. It really is. They miss the entire point of what the racists were saying. They didn't give a shit, and they just want them to fall in line, shut their mouths, and uphold the situation that they have had to suffer through. And there are women suffering under this institution, and they would rather, make Islam look good to non-Muslims at all costs, including the mental health and suffering of their own women. So that's what I got so far.
All right, and Culture Jenny.
This was tiring, real tiring. I didn't even have it in me to play devil's advocate like I usually do. I mean, the thing about this is that they could have argued so much better. They could have said, oh, but this sources say this, and thus it disproves your anti-claim, woman. Go back to the kitchen or something like that. If they'd done that, I would probably have done, all right, I might not like your opinions, but at least you argue from the scripture or something. I mean, this and they acted like, typical debate bros here, but they did it also without any energy, like, oh, do we have to do it? And they also didn't, look into the camera. It could be the angle, but it felt so insincere and so, the arguments were completely not even based in the sources, but just, you're wrong. So I felt, I felt that it didn't have much to defend them on.
Yeah, and yeah, it's these two idiots shouldn't really be talking about this kind of subject because they're close to borderlining insult behavior.
It feels also, sometimes I did say, stupid things like, oh, I don't see much of a difference between their asshole and their mouths right now. And I usually try to keep a higher level, but this was just so tiring and so.
Yeah, then how about this? Like, I know everyone is tired of like being on the stream. We'll continue the discussion in Discord. I put the link in here, but yeah, this is one of those topics that is tiring.
They didn't even address what the woman said. They talked, oh, you just cause issues, but you never answered about the fact that she said that if he does it without informing the women or talking with her first.
Yeah, no, that's the thing that all got me, because he claimed that he watched it multiple times and he still couldn't get the woman's view. So either he was ignorant about it because he's a complete idiot, or he willingly put aside what the woman was actually saying.
Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to part 2 next week, and I can have a rest in between because it was tiring, but it was fun at the same time.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, just a small update. Moose is going to be on.
I don't share your definition of fun, though.
Yeah. Well, no, the show is all about fun, right? So it's.
Yeah, the show is fun, but watching this was just pain.
I am a bit of a masochist, I must admit.
Yeah.
Can't get enough of those two idiots.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. No, we're just hitting the 2-hour mark, so I'm trying to close up before we go. Small announcement: Moose is going to be on a hiatus for a few weeks, just for some work-related issues. But yeah, so as he's away, I'm going to be doing it, and I've actually discussed with Culture Jenny. He's going to be helping as a temporary co-host. Thank you so much, Culture Jenny.
Yes.
And
one last thing, we talked about during this stream about the woman that was taken. It was Safia bint Hujay. That was, the woman.
Yeah.
That Mohammed took as a wife after having killed her father.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I'll also be coming to help out a little bit as well while Moose is away, just so if anyone doesn't like me, sorry, I'm going to be around for a couple of weeks.
For sure. And and next week as well, we're going to be finishing up this video, and after that, I done a lot of research on Egypt for when I was doing the Alexander project. I also had to research a lot about Egypt as well. So I have a lot of that. So we're going to be doing Egypt in a future episode as well, and another video recommendation from Smile. So that's going to be the plan for the next month or so. But just to give everyone an update, and I want to say the people of the Tea Talks, I know Mohammed Hijab was not representing you correctly. So I did email you guys. If you guys want to come on and discuss, I'm willing to give you a better platform than Mohammed Hijab ever will. I'm gonna be honest about that. If you do have an issue with speaking to Kufar, we can do like a one-on-one panel as well, because I am a Muslim now. So like, I'm open to whatever kind of discussions you guys want to do. But if you guys want to clarify what was discussed on this video or in this live stream, the invitation's still open.
Yeah, I think it would be great if they would come on, because not only Ali Dawah and Mohammed Hijab reviewed their video, but there have been other Muslims that have reviewed their video, and they all kind of have the same consensus. And even one girl who reviewed it was a Scottish girl in a niqab, and she just with another niqabi. And they were kind of saying the same thing. It was really more about saving face, about, your sister shouldn't be saying this, and, we have a huge responsibility when we're on social media with the deen and this and that. And it's like, these women, and even the Scottish girl said, like, I'm way too jealous, like, I would never, go for that and whatnot. But it's just really sad that they can't voice their concerns without scrutiny from their own community. Like, supporting, like, they should be supporting them. Like, Ali and Mohammed, like, instead of doing that, like, okay, guys, like, what could we do to make it easier for these sisters? What could we do to help these sisters? If we have this liberty to go do this, then how could we, do this in a way to where it won't be hurtful, or even consider what they're saying, instead of just completely blowing them off and saying they're borderline and kufr? That's so messed up.
Yeah. I don't want to sound like I'm tooting my own horn here, but if anyone's seen my other content that I do on my own channel, or whenever we had another guest on Gin and Tonic when I was personally discussing with them, I really hate the concept of interrupting the person or like not letting them get their point across when they're on the platform if I make the invitation for them to come on. So at this point, I'm letting you know. I've seen a lot of the critiques that these Muslims have put on you guys. So if you guys do come on and want to discuss this, like the offer I gave to other people, if there is a point when I've insulted you as gravely as Mohammed Hijab and Ali Dawah have, I'm willing to make a contribution to a charity that you guys think is doing good work. Won't be much on a student budget, but like I really want to live up to the thing where I'm not making you guys feel uncomfortable about voicing your opinion like many others have. It's good to have that discussion. The whole reason why we are having this channel is because discussion is not allowed to take place.
Good sentiment. I agree.
But yeah,
anyway,
so let's get on to Discord. I'll meet you guys there in a few minutes. But yeah, I'll end the stream.
Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Thank you in the chat. Hit the like button. Cheers. See
you next time.
Yeah, the Discord's in the chat, guys. See you there.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me. I'll come back for part 2. Have a good night.
See you guys.
See ya.